everything works. Great. Okay, thank you, and I think we can start. My name is Ihor Muzyka, and today I would like to share with you a use case of mobile app implementation, of analytics of mobile app implementation at Żabka. To start with, a few words about myself. My background is mainly financial, is predominantly financial. I used to work at financial due diligence with various industries, mainly retail, then as a controller with digital department, and now I work with business analytics as a manager here at Żabka, driving value with data and help building data-driven organization. In terms of main tools, especially in context of this presentation that we use here, those are Microsoft Power BI, Snowflake, and Synerise Analytics. And personally, I'm a huge fan of motorcycle sports and tennis, so should you be in Poznań, there is a high probability of meeting me somewhere on clay courts or cruising on city streets. Speaking of agenda for today, it is rather simple. I would like to start with an introduction and to bring up some definitions, then present a use case itself, showing some successes and challenges that we met throughout our path, and at the end, summarizing that with our formula. So how we face those challenges and what is our way of working. Okay, so let's begin. For a start, I would like to describe what is business analytics. I mentioned it twice with my background, but I would like to bring this quote from Harvard Business School, where business analytics is a process of using quantitative methods to derive meaning from data to make informed business decisions, where these informed business decisions are key in the whole process, because this is where we decide how to use this data. And one of the main tools to arrive and to use those insights from data are reports. I will be mentioning word report quite a few times throughout my presentation, and what I would be referring to would be modern business intelligence reporting. And to bring up this definition, you might imagine those as a visualized data set, in the way that it is interactive, so you can click, filter, you can select a fragmentator there. It is insightful, so you can see what it explains to you. It's accessible to a non-technical user, so no need for specific coding languages knowledge or any other, so it's easy to use. Often it uses some kind of integrated artificial intelligence features, such as data science models or others, and at the end, it should drive business outcomes. So it should bring some value to business. And speaking of business outcomes, I know that it's 6 hours through this conference, and it's not that easy to interact with only Q&A list. So maybe I will just invite you for a reflection. So when I showed this business product, business analytics product, if you were to consider what is the average success rate of data projects globally. So if we define success as bringing value to customer. So if we take, for example, 10 random projects, how do you think, how many bring value on average? Of course, it is a very difficult analysis because you will need to take companies throughout the world, from Europe, States, etc., then decide. But you might just think of a number, or you might put it in chat if you want to. I would like to show something that, for example, surprised me at the beginning, because it turned out that there are companies which did such studies and did such researches, and it turns out that on average, only 2 out of 10 data projects, which are based on data analytics, data science, bring value to customers. those are researchers from 2020 and 2019, and that might seem as a really pessimistic number, of course, and it might be frustrating for analysts. So why should I build 10 reports and only 2 will be working? But there are many reasons. Because business objectives might change, because there might be insufficient ROI. We can decide that we want to invest some money, and then it will not just bring the outcome we predicted. Also, skills might not be sufficient or required. So I think that what is important here is that the difference between a ready product and product which brings value is huge. So the number itself does not create anything for us. We need to take it to decision. And today, I would like to present you our methodology of maximizing this value and improving odds, because of course, if average is 2 out of 10, then it is possible to have better results, because at the end, what that means is that when you have this project which eventually creates value, then the value can be huge. There is a huge potential in it. Okay, so moving forward to our path of mobile apps. Here I would like to describe how we started a bit from the beginning, and then what was our approach for analytics. First question, why is mobile app analytics important? So how much effort should we concentrate? How much time should we spend on it? Maybe there are other departments, maybe logistics or sales, which are more important. And here I've selected only some benefits divided into 2 groups. First, of understanding customer needs better, meaning building better customer relationship, understanding what services are better for them, and selecting communication channels which are most convenient and which would not just add another channel of data which will not be useful for us. And second group of improved offer. So obviously we want at the end to bring better offer to our customers. So attractiveness may be increased by looking at numbers. So what is more attractive, what sales better, and what kinds of promotion, we have personalization, etc., etc. And that would consequently increase effectiveness, because we'll spend our time and effort on areas which bring the most value, and we can, for example, test pricing options, because there is no need to test those options for whole population. We can just concentrate on smaller samples. And of course, for mobile app analytics, we need a mobile app. So now moving to a bit of history, back in 2019, we launched an mobile app here at Żabka. It was an outstanding app, both at the time and currently, in my opinion. It has a huge amount of great features, and adoption was great. We met around 1 million customers during first month in terms of acquisition. And speaking of benefits, I hope that if not everyone from you, then most people living in Poland use it, because it's a great way of doing shopping at Żabka and seeing our content. And listing some of the features, those are loyalty points with attractive prices that the customer can achieve, personalized promotions specifically based on your customer behavior. Additionally, Żabka Pay, a way of securing paying just without need to pull for your money or for cash or for a card. You can just do it with an app. Żabka Post, and you can track your parcels. You can see if it's there. You can also have a better insight on that. Żabka Store, Paweł today mentioned a lot of great features of our Żabka Store, and this mobile app is a key to enter the store. So obviously very important, and the click and collect, when you can select what you want to buy and then just go to our store and collect it. So speaking of numbers, huge amount of customers. Currently we have 6 million downloads and up to 1 million users a day using it. So a huge amount of people using it. And now how can we bring value with analytics to it? Because we know that we have a lot of customers, we know that there is a lot of data. So now how can we now translate that? To answer this question, I would like to go further into past here and to bring you to pre-launch phase. Yeah. And if we start with 2018, it was a great time at our company because we're transferring from legacy BI, which produced data and analytics in a more static way, for example, in exports to PDF files or to Excel, which were not that easy to interact and which might have required some previous knowledge, for example, what columns meant and what drill downs are there, to a modern BI solution. We switched to Microsoft Power BI, which was more interactive, allowed for more insight, and obviously improved data engine, which allowed us to work with bigger databases, and calculating power was significantly better. So what we did, we were pre-launch. We knew that app would be starting in around a year. So okay, so let's start and let's prepare for it. We decided to start big. So here, a simplified process of report creation. We started with discussions and discovery of business needs. What that meant that we provided a series of workshops with our business users. We understood what they need to monitor, what they would like to monitor, what would be KPIs that they want to have monitored daily, weekly, and then how can we arrive to actionable insights based on those KPIs. So we had our map. Then we collected data and we started collecting this data. Of course, for new software, it's a rather complicated process because we need to connect many databases which are new. So we need to integrate this data to understand what are the relations, relationships between data, how to present it in proper way, and how to check if those data are correctly presented. Next, going to analyzing data, to understanding what trends we can show, how we want to show it. We already had this solution of software that we'll be using. So all that might be important and useful based on it. And at the end, we arrived at report. So whole this process took us around 3 months, rather long period, but eventually it was long before launch, so no risk on dates. And at the end, during testing phase, we already had some test data. We arrived at our product. At the time, it was really cutting edge for us to see that many perspectives and facets of this data. We had different trend analysis. It was interactive. We could filter different kind of data. There were dashboards personalized for each business user, so that if someone is responsible for a specific area, they were able to look at the specific area and not and to have those insights that are important for them. Data model was really advanced. There were hundreds of measures compiled in a star dataset with help of an external company, and it was, what is really important for us, a single source of truth. So it was one report comprising a huge data set of information, and then switching that to answers. Are we reaching our goals? Are we building the software properly? But what happened next? It was when we ask our business user, so how do you like it? Is it answering your question? Is it useful? Then we understood that when we define all features up front, we arrived at the problem. Because when we saw this data, we understood that, okay, so to have better insight, we need to add something, to add another measure, to add another KPI, to go deeper, to have a drill down, and our work in progress increased faster than we were able to deliver, because we decided to start big, and it blocked our capability of taking new work. What meant that we had limited KPI on insight at the time, and it was just not flexible enough. It took some time for documentation, and after some workshop, we discovered that people also use it to export to Excel, which is not a function, not the main function here. It meant that also user interface should be improved. So we understood that we should change our approach somehow, because problem was that it was just not flexible enough for such constantly evolving software as mobile app. To bring you an analogy here, what we were trying to build, a product. If we take a car part by part, let's say from a vehicle, then wheelbase, etc., etc., and then we have a product at the end. And problem here, and now I will introduce a new definition of minimal viable product, where minimal viable product is a version of product which already can be used and feedback can be derived from it. So in this context, first feedback could be arrived at point 4, and it works very good with repetitive procedures. But when we build something from the scratch and it's a new solution for us, it's really difficult at the beginning to guess and to understand and to predict what would be all features acquired at the end. There is a way of improving it. Henrik Kneiberg introduced this other way of looking. So, okay, so let's start with a scooter, then build a bicycle, and then build up until we have a car. And it is a better idea in terms of receiving some feedback at the beginning and not waiting for 4 stages to know if this would be useful or not. But we can argue that you cannot travel intra-city with a scooter, and it will take a lot of rework, because at each stage we need to start from the beginning and rework from the beginning. So eventually what we were trying to find was a way to build some kind of prototype from the beginning, which would be working, but then we can receive feedback loop from first step, and then add new features, add new functionality, and this picture of a car on the bottom from first point, it is something that might be used, and it is something that might bring value to customer. And then with each next step, we can decide what we want to build and how can we satisfy next needs, and how can we build up from that point. So moving from this analogy to approach on project management, we decided that we want to switch from traditional approach, which is on the top, where we define all upfront and deliver a final product at the end, to an agile one, when we define iteratively and deliver incremental product parts. And those incremental steps might be even really small, but they have to be, and customer should be able to use it and to have some insight from it. So when we think of a report, maybe let's start not from all tabs and a huge report at once. Maybe we can start from one tab, or maybe we can even slice that into smaller pieces, maybe even into few KPIs at the time. But then we'll deliver, let's say, 2 or 3 KPIs in not in 3 months, but maybe in 3 weeks or 3 days, and then our customer would be able to work from that point further. So summing up those benefits, it would bring a better quality, because we would know from at a very early stage if quality is at the level that we want it to be. Next, it reduces wastage, because if that would not be true, then we can just discontinue our work and switch to another project. Of course, flexibility is better, because we're in a constant feedback loop, and we ask our customer, okay, how it works, what can we improve, what can be done better. And delivery is faster, because we don't spend an extra time on areas which would not be used at the end. Okay, so that was partially a theory, but what we did here at Żabka. Moving to our actions, we selected a vast list of possible KPIs, more than 50. What we needed, at some point we will be monitoring probably all or most of those, but let's start small and understand where we want to start. Here we have financial, technical, and client perspectives divided into smaller groups. We prepared a workshop with business user and asked, okay, where do you want to start? What are the most important KPIs for you at the moment? And we selected two. We decided those will be user acquisition and user retention. Then we take those KPIs and focusing, because focus here is key to understand something good rather than build a product which would have a lot of tabs but would not add value. And we take a framework. So when we take user acquisition, we ask ourselves, okay, so what are the dynamics? How many what are the dynamics of new customers? How do we proceed with cohort dynamics? Are new cohorts better or worse? And then we add new layers of questions. Why is it good? Why is it bad? What could be done? If maybe after some actions, were those actions profitable or not? And with this way of working, we're giving more insight and more data-driven decisions for our business user, because they're able to see what their action creates for the business based on data, not only on external factors. And same idea with other facets of analytics. So if we speak of segmentation, for example, of clients, we don't build a huge model at one point. We start with a small cohort, and then we build up from that. So, for example, we can start with segments based on location, on demographic, on psychographics, and see if it is useful, see if we can use the data. If yes, go further. If no, switch to another. Same with A/B testing. A/B testing is a test based on small samples. We try to understand which, for example, feature, product, promotion would be better. Same idea, gradual insight, not building one huge model, but understanding step by step where we can improve and when we can bring better value. And same idea for real time. When we have a specific promotion or we have a specific need for real-time data, we can concentrate on that rather than just building reports which might not be used at the end. And what that gives us, it would allow us, if we think of two axes when we have investment in BI in terms of our time, resources, and money, and value, it would allow us to move from just querying and understanding some answers to insight, to data discovery, and eventually add foresight, where we use advanced analytics, data science models. Here are some examples from our models when we try to understand what are relations between data, what is being adopted better or worse, and how can we add at that point. And these actions help us build two strong pillars: management and operational, where first would be more strategic one, when we want to understand where we're going, are we meeting our targets, are we up to date with our roadmaps. And second would be an operational, when we have a day-to-day monitoring of specific actions, specific promotions, and how are we bringing value to customers, and also, of course, building value for our company. So what it gives us, just implying here learning curve, with each next trial, time to complete would be shorter. So that would mean that we'll have some pre-selected data sets, we'll have some knowledge, we can share our knowledge, and it would allow us to make small incremental steps, to make baby steps here, but to move faster and to have this constant feedback if we are going in the right direction. Okay, and next question, and how to sustain this report adoption? Because I said that this is our methodology to build a lot of reports, but for those reports to be useful and for those reports to bring value, it is important that they are being used by customers, and that they are updated and concentrated on current business needs. So here I would like to present our formula for such action, and it comprises 3 elements, and it's not only for mobile app, it's just for our way of working. It's inspiration culture, best practices, and continuous collaboration with business, where culture is something more internal, and collaboration is where we speak with our end user. We want to understand more about their problems and how can we help them solve those. In terms of culture, we held, for example, our forum for analysts, where we during pre-pandemic times we gathered live. Now it's only online, but it's a space for us to share our knowledge and share our way of thinking and maybe even problems. Also to share innovations which we use at our work, because as you can see here on those pictures, it's a large society of people who work on different kinds of problems in different departments. And also we invite many speakers, both from Poland and abroad, to bring new view on these problems and this analytical ways of working. Next, best practices, and here our approach is to build knowledge both, for example, with Vademecum, where we have our places where we share knowledge about data modeling, data visualization, best practices, do's and don'ts at data analytics, and this is a kind of our blog. Report library, in terms to be able to find effectively what we're looking for, whether those are project reports or concentrating on specific department, so that there is no need to seek for a long list of links. Webinars, especially now when we are all working online, it's important for us to share our knowledge and share new innovations which are being built through different companies, and of course, and good old professional library of books from large books, 600 plus pages on Excel to information on storytelling or data science or visualization. So everything that we can learn just from masters throughout the world. And the third element, continuous collaboration with end users to understand how can we bring value in the most effective way. And those are mainly workshops when we try to understand and to build together a roadmap of working, user feedback for our reports, for our decisions or recommendation, and proactive discussions. So not only answering to questions, but also maybe bringing something from best practices from other companies or societies. And of course, behind all those data, there are just people working both as analysts and users. And here I also added a photo of our department led by our director Karim, who always creates this curiosity and this environment for us to be able to look for new ideas and not work only operationally, but to think of new innovative way to tackle problems and business questions. And summing up, that would be our approach to bringing value with small incremental steps and answering to constantly evolving or changing business objectives and to this modern requirements that we have at our company. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope it would be helpful for you in some way. And if you have any questions, I think we have some time left for us to for me to answer those. Okay, let me see. Okay, seems like there are no other questions. Should you want to discuss or ask for something, you can find me on LinkedIn. And great thanks for today. I know that there's 2 more sessions left, so have a good day and bye-bye.